Hey, you're back in the garage with TheEZGZ. It's been 4 weeks to the day since I had open heart surgery. The mitral valve, which is the first valve in your heart, was leaking and needed to be, turned out it needed to be replaced. So they used the membrane from a cow instead of a pig, and there was also the option of a mechanical one, but they usually do those in younger folks. And for my age group, a bovine bull cow was in order, so that's what we went with. I didn't have anything to say about it. When I went to see the surgeon and asked him how he was going to repair my heart, he said, I don't know. He says, I want to go in there and feel it. I says, well, how do you argue with that? The guy had been doing heart surgeries for 30 years and had experience. And so at some point, you have to trust that the right thing's going to happen. So they took me in, and 6 hours later, brought me out. I had a new heart valve, and I laid in recovery for another 8 hours, and it started bleeding, and something started bleeding inside my chest. They also, when they close you up, they cut through your sternum, they spread you apart, they do what they gotta do. They use sutures to kind of pull things together, and then the rib cage and sternum, they use stainless steel wire, and they twist it like a barbed wire fence and bend the end over to tighten it up and pull it together. And so 8 hours after the surgery, stuff wouldn't quit, blood wasn't quit draining out of my chest cavity. They ended up giving me like almost 15 units of blood, and decided to get the crew back together at midnight, and they took me back into an operating room. They don't normally run 24/7, but they all came back in, and they took my chest, opened it back up to find out where the bleeding was coming from, because it wouldn't stop. And they never did tell me what they found, but I guess they fixed it, because here I am. So then my heart wouldn't beat on its own, so they had and they typically, this is not unusual, they put an external pacemaker, and that's what all the wires and stuff were on this side of my chest. There's 4 wires that came through the skin, and then they had the bandage over the incision, and then I had stuff in both arms, IVs. I bought this camera. It's an iPhone 14 Plus. It's kind of a story in itself, but I ended up biting a bullet and didn't know how to use it, didn't really have it set up properly, and I was laying there in intensive care playing with it, and that's when I made a little short test video, and I don't know, I just kept clicking on things, and it said shorts and upload, and I hit it, and it uploaded into my channel, and a lot of you guys saw it and had nice prayers and comments that you left, and I want to thank everybody, because I think it's truly the power of prayer and encouragement to give me the will to go on, because there were some times that I just kind of wanted to give up. And every day the guy who is in charge, the doctor who is in charge of the pacemaker, would come in, and he would slow my heart rate down until I would pass out, and my heart wouldn't beat on its own. And after a week of that nonsense, I had the surgery on Monday and Tuesday because it carried over. They had to redo it. And then the following week on Monday, after repeated attempts to, my heart did have electrical pulse, but it wasn't enough to make things work on its own reliably. And I finally caved in and I told them, do whatever you got to do. And so they went ahead and put in a permanent pacemaker. And you know, I asked him what the options were, and I says, you know, I want a Pertronix pointless ignition, AM FM capability. This thing is pretty cool. There's actually an app for my iPhone that I can check out the heartbeat. I can't change anything. They have a device that they can lay on the outside of my skin, and they didn't have to go below the ribs. The pacemaker is made out of titanium and is just under the skin, and it's kind of uncomfortable. And part of that is because the hair stubble, it's kind of like having whisker stubble. It catches on my clothes, and it's real scratchy, and a lot of the nerves are dead. I'm pretty sure that's all going to eventually come back, and I'll start feeling better. I'm going to yoga classes. I went to one a week ago. I went yesterday. I'm going tomorrow, and I'm doing everything that I can to speed up my recovery before summer gets here. And my plans are to continue working on my Volkswagens and answering your questions. For the last year, I never even took the 2110 out of the tub buggy here. It ran so good, and I just drove it. And the same with my Baja. I did do some suspension things. I revalved these Fox shocks and installed them on this car, and I got some centerline wheels for my Baja, and I changed the brake drums and put all new brakes and wheels on that car. So I'll try to edit that stuff and post it up so that it makes sense. Yeah, I've got to rebuild these front ends. I had thought about so much stuff. You all know what an overactive mind I have, and have severe ADD. Can't seem to stay on subject. This engine needs some work. We'll get inside this. This is the 1800 with a 74 stroker crank, and when I sucked that valve guide, I damaged the piston. I changed the heads, but I reused the piston, and I think I'm going to have to I'm going to have to change that. I've got this tubing up here that I've had for 20 years, and the plan back in the day was to make another sand car, and I've kind of wondered where I should go with all of this. And you know, there's I don't know if this is appropriate time, and I'm looking in my comments, and there's a few comments that have dollar figures on them in a red circle where people have actually I guess I can't figure it out on my own, but I don't know if people are donating money to my channel in addition to what you earn from the ads. But thank you very, very much. You know who you are. I'll try to figure out how to do some of these things. There's some changes that happened over the last month while I was in the hospital, and I don't fully understand them. And there's all this stuff about shorts, so yeah, I got to get on the stick and either get some help or start figuring this stuff out and get back in the game here. But I want y'all to know that I do love those who love me, and we'll keep making videos and posting them up. And yeah, I think the first thing in order this morning is to go get a burrito. Man, hospital food sucks. And going 4 weeks, I think that was the worst part. I had withdrawals. I had burrito withdrawals. So anyhow, love you guys. Wanted to post something up. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subbing. TheEZGZ out.